ACH that is stored encrypted in a very safe vault. Another thing that we do for security, now that we are on that topic, is we are doing scans for every transaction that is made through Comet Payments. So a scanning system where it leverages machine learning and other protocols to assess the risk of a transaction. And if a transaction is riskier, then we will have methods to control that. So that's another thing that is on the back end that many people don't know that we do, but it's like a really added value of using Coronet payments. Is we are scanning every transaction, and if a pattern seems a little bit dubious, we will have some ways to control that by having the technology work in our favor for that. So yeah, I think security wise, digital payments are really the way to go, and it's increasing the the advancements of more security protocols around that. So yeah, just wanted to add those couple of things.
Thank you, Simon. That's definitely great to know. Everyone, what we're looking at on screen is literally the how it would go whenever there's already a saved payment method, and we select it and so and go and are on our way to pay. This function can be enabled. Or is enabled for the sales team, for the accounts receivables team, and can also be processed through the e-commerce sales channel. I'm going to go ahead and process this payment on screen. Payment successfully received. We know all of the scanning and security processes that are going on the back end. With all of that that's happening at the same time, it's also important that we don't just empower you with functionalities, but also give you the information so that you can easily track everything that's going on. And with Comet Coronet Payments, we do have a dashboard that you can easily reference that's updated live, and it displays all of the transactions that are happening. Here you can easily track every single transaction that has occurred. You can even see if any transaction is currently in a refund status, because you can also process refunds through Comet Payments. You can see exactly what's going on with the refund transaction, enable the ARN or acquire reference number and share it with your customer, even though it takes so many banking days for the funds to settle. Your customer can be certain that a process was put into place and it's being executed, and it even gives an update of when the refund was made available to the customer. So, again, easy to track even when things go sour. Obviously, when everything goes well, for these successful transactions, you can easily see the amount captured, the processing fee being deducted, and the net amount being settled into your account. Again, secure information to the original payment method. We're not seeing anything more than the last four digits and the expiration date and the brand of the card. And again, a brief timeline of a successful transaction. With this dashboard and being able to also relate all of Comet payments within your Comet accounts receivables payment history, the other thing that we want to make sure is that you have data so that you can easily reconcile Comet payments, not just against cells, but also against your bank. And for that, within reports, we have a settlement report that can be exported for transactions up until yesterday, because today's transactions have not been settled. And the report can be generated from here, and the report looks something like this. Give me 1 second. This is not it. Here it is. This is what the settlement reports looks like. And when it comes to analyzing information, we wanted to make sure that the payment settlement report not just showed amounts, but also showed who the customer is. So notice, as the payment processor is embedded within your ERP, there's better information and more relatable information, where there's not a hiccup within the flow. It's an end-to-end flow from sales all the way up to capturing payment, and even the settlement of transactions into your actual bank account. This kind of closes the loop on the technical flow. We wanted to focus on setup. We wanted to focus on how to execute transactions, and that you understand there are different payment channels enabled through Coronet payments, and obviously the analysis of the information based on these transactions and the easily accessible reports through Comet. Not to forget mentioning fully support on the back end by Comet support. So, Elena, I don't know if you want to talk anything about the support advantage, or if there's anything pending on our webinar on your end.
Thank you, George. This demo was great. So we can continue with Simon telling us a little bit about the recent innovations and the latest enhancements on Cornet payments. Let me share my
Perfect.
screen.
Yeah, if we can pull the presentation. I just want to touch before that on what George earlier said about the settlement report. And there's something that is, I think, very valuable of Coronet payments, and it's that we are fully integrated into the channels of the Coronet ecosystem, meaning the ERPs, the e-commerce, and all the other channels. And what that gives us is an advantage that probably you will not get, or merchants will not get in third-party applications or like other service providers of payments. And it's basically the data that we can find in the Coronet ecosystem. For example, that settlement report where we can show exactly what's the order that was paid from which customer, references, all that information is something that we can do because we are fully integrated. Possibly from other providers, you will see more generic information, and for that purpose, it will be difficult to reconciliate many things, because you will not have all that contextual information that we can have because of the ERP, the e-commerce, and all those channels that are embedding the sales process to the actual payment process. And yeah, I cannot say that that's very, very important to have in order to have like an efficient payment solution. Okay, but talking about the recent updates and innovations of Coronet payments, we have added ACH payments to the payment links. Before, we actually only could transact it with credit cards. Now the buyer has the possibility also to pay with ACH. And something that it's really important is we have identified that ACH is assess sensitive information for the buyer. Is They are not so willingly to sharing that information with all the vendors. Maybe if you have a good relationship with your buyer, is possible. It's completely possible, um, but it's not like sharing a credit card, which is more like common and let's say more frequent in the industry. Now, with the option of paying with ACH in the payment links, we are giving that opportunity to the buyer to pay with ACH, but with no commitments to have that ACH stored directly in the ERP. So it's giving the buyer that option, and it's giving that peace of mind for the buyer that they can use ACH for that transaction, but it's not something that the merchant will have access every time that they want. They can also have that if they collect the payment method information, but we are giving more options. And this is all about giving the buyer more options and more convenience while also enhancing the processes of the merchant. Um, the other thing is, okay, we have ERP payment links. We already touched on that. Um, we have enhanced the e-commerce payments. Before Coronet payments, e-commerce payments were basically a checkout only, and then the buyer lose the ability to pay for any order that was paid on terms. And we know this is like a super basic or common pattern in the industry, is paying on terms. And before Coronet payments, we didn't have like a way to address those kind of payments. Now, you can go to the e-commerce. In the order entry, you will have all the orders that are unpaid, and you can easily process all those orders in one go, because we also have bulk payments in the e-commerce, meaning that you can select several open invoices, uh, select all those, and then basically pay in a single transaction for all those invoices. Then that will go to the ERP information, the payment history, all automated, and you will see, okay, there's a payment, all these orders were paid. And we can see like in just one transaction, very simple for the buyer, we are automating an entire process that could take so long for a manual or offline payment method to really achieve, like reconciling sales information to the invoices, or all the errors that can occur in that process, and then reconciling to the payment. Um, with an e-commerce payment through Coronet Payments, it's just one click and you are ready to go, basically. Um, the other thing we enhance is the report of that George showed earlier. We can also now manage disputes in that report. So you can easily, for example, as a merchant, send information about a dispute to counteract that dispute with your buyer. If you think that there's a mistake, you can send evidence through that embedded like that report, and it's all done through Comet Payments. No need for interaction outside that. It's all managed by you. So basically, the merchant has all the um, tools at hand to manage a dispute and send the evidence and wait for the response of the final entity to say if they won or lose the dispute. But all that process is integrated into Coronet Payments and is fully automated. And the last thing is, I mentioned the value of having leverage the data of the Coronet ecosystem to provide features in Coronet Payments. And this is a good example that I really like to mention is, for example, we are testing something. It's not available for our merchants, but we are seeing pretty good results with some really like top players in the industries. Before, in the descriptor of the bank account statement, the bank statement, you will see all these entries, and the Comet Payment entries were generic. Like it's only said like this comes from Comet Payment and the amount. Now, with the ability and all the automations that we have, we can send, for example, if you are a multi-location company that is using Comet Payments in different locations, you can see the actual name of the location in the bank statement. So that's something that you cannot replicate with other solutions, and it's really specific to this industry and to the companies inside Coronet. Um, so by adding the name to the bank statement, which can be like super long, um, you will have an easy way as a merchant to identify specific payments for a location and reconcile. And we know that many locations manage separate like accounting environments, let's say, and it's very valuable for them to have this differentiation. It saves so much time for them. And yeah, I think it's a good example of how automation applied to specific needs within the Coronet ecosystem, it's really valuable for end customers. So yeah, I think that's in a nutshell the recent updates, but I think they fall short against all the things that we want to do in the next couple of months. Um, so Coronet payments so far, we have processed around 80,000 transactions already. We have 77 active merchants. Um, 85+% of merchants are doing weekly transactions in Coronet payments. And we have 10 plus merchants that have already processed more than $1 million using Coronet payments. So it's really robust thing that we are building. One in every three actors in the Coronet ecosystem already are using Coronet payments. And we expect that that will accelerate even more in the next coming months. Um, the other thing is Coronet Payments is working as in the network of Coronet. So all the things that the network can offer with Coronet Payments, you can basically accelerate and have more value added on the network. So we're really looking forward to talk to you about soon updates coming in products in the next couple of weeks. But it's very much related to automations, making your lives so much easier as a merchant, but also improving the buying experience of your buyers.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Simon.
I don't know if yeah, like go ahead and if
Thank you.
anyone wants to add something.
Okay, so to get started with Coronet payments, we have two options. Those companies that already have purchased and signed up for Coronet payments can scan this QR code, and you'll go as an admin user to this settings page, and you can get started with the onboarding process, which is super easy and simple to do. And then if you don't, we have a special offer valid until September 15th. where we're gonna waive off the implementation fee if you're willing to get coordinate payments. If you need any assistance, you can also scan